Here in Week 11, the 6-3 Saints played host to the 2-7 Steelers, who were led by their new QB Josh Dobbs, taking over for the retired Big Ben. He'll hand things off to Le'Veon Bell, who gets down into Saints territory. Then a few plays later, Dobbs hooks up with Travis Benjamin, who gets things inside the 10, but unfortunately for Pittsburgh, they would settle for a field goal from the 1-yard line. 3-0 Steelers, they strike first in this one. Very late first quarter now, man in motion. Teddy drops back, finds Kamara on the screen, jukes out a man, picks up a few blocks, and he's able to get into Pittsburgh's territory. Later on in the drive, they're on the 27. Teddy dropping back with a beautiful throw to Brandon Coleman, brings it in. The 6'6" Rutgers product makes it a 7-3 Saints lead. Move things on later in the second quarter on their own 46. Saints back on offense. Ingram breaks a tackle and then jumps over a man on the ground, and he proceeds to go off to the races. Brandon Ingram, 54-yard touchdown to the house, as it's now a 14-3 Saints lead. Now the Steelers are back on offense as Bell is laid out by Kenny Vaccaro, fumbles on the play, and Vaccaro recovers the fumble himself. So the Saints are now on offense on the Pittsburgh 29 inside the 2-minute warning. They find Willie Snead, gets them inside the 10, but unfortunately they went for it with 2 seconds left, and they could not punch it in with their fullback Kuhn, as it's still going to be 14-3 heading into the second half. Now we move things about halfway into the second half, where Teddy finds Michael Thomas on the curl route, and then on the slot streak finds Willie Snead, gets them down to about the 20-yard line, and then the very next play, Teddy touchdown once again to Brandon Coleman. Drags 3 defenders in the end zone. His second touchdown of the day makes it a 21-3 lead for the Saints. Move things on later in the third, about a minute left, as the Saints are punting from their own end zone. Terrence Mitchell coming down, lays out Antonio Brown, makes him fumble, and then P.J. Williams comes through and picks up the fumble. So the Saints have great field position for their offense. So Teddy comes onto the field, gets them down to about the 11-yard line, and then hands it off to Alvin Kamara, who gets into the end zone by dragging 3 men in, and it's now a 28-3 Saints lead. We'll move things on later into the fourth quarter, where Pittsburgh settles for a field goal on one drive. That makes it 28-6. And then with less than a minute left, Josh Dobbs finds Le'Veon Bell, who was lined up in the slot, for a touchdown. They go for 2 points, so it's 28-14, but it was too little too late for the Steelers, as the New Orleans Saints come out on top in this one by a score of 28-14 over the Pittsburgh Steelers, who dropped to 2-8 on the season, and the New Orleans Saints improved to 7-3. It was a pretty balanced attack on offense for the Saints in this game, as Teddy Bridgewater had 191 yards through the air for 2 touchdowns. Both of them went to Brandon Coleman, whose only 2 receptions on the day were for touchdowns. And then in the running game, Alvin Kamara got the majority of the carries. He had 22 for 66 yards and a touchdown, but then Mark Ingram only had 8 carries, but he had 88 yards. One of them went for 54 yards and a touchdown. They both had touchdowns on the day, so that will wrap things up here for this edition of New Orleans Saints football. I have been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.
I smoked 2 joints in the morning. I smoked 2 joints at night. I smoke 2 joints in the afternoon. It makes me feel alright. I smoke 2 joints in time of peace and 2 in time of